Ooh. Mm-hmm. Welcome to UBC. My name is Glen Stephen Karamagi with Conserve Our Heritage. Conserve Our Heritage comes every Monday, 9 to 10 p.m. And when we are live, we always have guests who are conservationists, senior conservationists at times. We discuss lots of things from conservation of wildlife, looking at heritage, and all the things that are around the world, but mainly Uganda, when it is mainly nature. In the studio I have Doctor, and she'll be introducing herself to us, but good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, true. You're very humbled. Your name?
I'm called Dr. Asiimwe from Budongo Conservation Field Station in Masindi District.
Well, from Masindi District, well, a place that is very known. Budongo Forest. What do you do in Budongo Forest?
Budongo Conservation Field Station works within Budongo Forest to protect the chimpanzees mainly and the whole habitat where they live. So we basically do research, conservation, and training.
So looking at Budongo Forest, you mean the only animal you can find are only chimpanzees?
No, in Budongo Forest, it's a whole ecosystem with different animals and different plants.
The forest and the park? Because here looks like chimpanzees in the forest. Many may have just had it for maybe they have had it for the first time because they expect chimpanzees to be in parks. But we talk of a forest. How is it related with this wildlife?
Chimpanzees mainly live in forests because what they eat is mainly in the forest. While the park, mainly in Uganda, we have the savanna parks, but we have Chibale National Park, which is also a forest, for example, and it also has chimpanzees.
Yes.
Yeah, so being animals that feed on fruits, they live where mainly trees are, which will give them the food they need, and being also animals that use the trees as a home to build their nests, so they mainly live in the forests. But we also have some which live in the savannah. In Torosemliki, we have some living in the savannah.
The savannah, yes.
Yes.
Okay, before you go far, what is a chimpanzee? I'm looking at animals on my screen, and what are they exactly? What makes them be called chimpanzee?
Chimpanzees are man's closest relative, black in color as you can see, and they have no tail. So they are apes. They have no tails. While we have other primates, in the group of the apes, we have man, we have chimpanzees, we have bonobos, we have gorillas, we have the orangutans. But in Uganda, we mainly have the chimpanzees and the gorillas. But there are other non-human primates that have tails, and that differentiates them from the chimpanzees.
Oh, so like you said, they live in forests. So in Uganda, mainly you have to find them in the Budongo Forest?
Yes, there is a community in Budongo Forest, and then Chibale, there is also in Windy, Impenetrable, but we also have them in different fragments within the Albertine Rift. And in the north, there is one community in a forest in Moi, but all the rest are within the Albertine Rift of Uganda.
Oh. Well, that is very interesting. Now, we're going to be looking at human perception of wildlife. That's quite a big question here. We've always had human-wildlife conflicts, but maybe we look at elephants. Sometimes we go down to maybe other antelopes, mainly buffaloes, who are always good at attacking communities. But here we have chimpanzees, and specifically, Dr. Karo is going to be telling us how people understand these chimpanzees and how they are living. Probably she might be giving us the human understanding of wildlife in the Budongo Forest, or maybe in and outside of Budongo Forest.
Yes, when you look at humans, the closest cousins to the chimpanzees.
Yes. How do these cousins live together?
So far in Uganda currently, it's more of a conflict. The interaction is a conflict. But in some other places, the interaction is actually there is no conflict. Chimpanzees are living in the forest, but also around the forest, we have people who are depending on the forest to survive.
Yes.
So they come in, they have to get some timber, they cut down the trees. Some of these trees are the ones giving the chimpanzees the food.
Yes.
Others are cutting them down for poles to construct the houses. Others, charcoal burning. So they're leaving chimpanzees with less and less to eat in the forest. So the chimpanzees are now moving outside to find alternative source of food.
So you're telling me humans and the chimpanzees both want to share what is in the forest?
Yes, these resources are being shared. Resources are being shared by the humans and the chimpanzees.
Yes.
So there is competition for resource, and the resource, unfortunately, is reducing. So the human population outside is increasing. The chimpanzee population, most times it's stable and decreasing. But the forest which they're depending on is also reducing. So there is a lot of interface, there's a lot of contact between the chimpanzees and the people, and this is resulting in conflicts. Sometimes the magnitude of the conflict is so big that humans are losing lives, and also chimpanzees are losing lives. So there's a big conflict, and unfortunately it's still increasing between the two.
What I want to understand here, of course, in my picture I'm looking at chimpanzee and a human being, maybe a lady somewhere doing our own things, and they seem to be very comfortable. But what I want to understand is a common man down in Budongo, or living in communities around Budongo, how do they benefit from your chimpanzee, if I may say your chimpanzee? Because I'm looking at human being, of course that's a priority. They're the ones that vote, chimpanzees don't vote. And if I was a politician, of course I would look at where I benefit. Why would I support a chimpanzee when I have a human being who want to benefit from the forest? How does he benefit, a common man, how does he benefit from your chimpanzee?
Yeah, chimpanzees, actually they are not on the mind, they're also yours. They are for everyone in Uganda. So it's our heritage, as you said from the start.
Yes.
Humans, we don't see the direct benefit, but if we go back to trace back, we are actually all benefiting. If you look at the tourism these chimpanzees bring, the tourists that come in and bring the foreign exchange,
they can
all
go and
this money.
see elephants somewhere else.
Chimpanzee
where there are national parks and maybe there's no much contact. Why should they go for it?
Chimpanzees being an endangered species and only being found in Africa. And Uganda, we are so lucky that we have a few remaining chimpanzees in the wild. Definitely, people will always come to Uganda to look at the chimpanzees and the other ape, the gorillas. So they're a big tourist attraction in Uganda. And that's the main reason we have to protect it. And humans, much as they don't see, the local communities, they may not see the benefits, but the more they go to the hospitals, they see their children going for UPE, the roads that are being constructed, all that money sometimes comes from the tourism contribution. So chimpanzees are contributing to the economy. And so everyone should protect them for that reason.
Do you want to tell me that a certain percentage, I don't know how it is, but it is also adding more on the tourists coming on board? How is it with gorillas? Because for crying out loud, gorillas are not much of a problem to communities around Bwindi. I don't know if they live much in deep forests, or maybe people are not encroaching on Bwindi. Is it that bad? Can't you take chimpanzees in Bwindi and they live and give people peace around Budongo?
Actually, even in Bwindi, there are conflicts.
But not much
from
as it is.
Gorillas. But because of the benefit, there's the tourists, this percentage that people bordering the park receive.
Yes.
But if you're bordering the forest reserves, you don't get that. So probably that also has helped other people bordering the parks to change the attitude towards the conservation of that species as compared to people bordering the forest reserve. Yet they all suffer the same conflict, but they don't get any percentage from the tourists.
You want to tell me that chimpanzees, just like gorillas, almost have, they are the two species that bring more tourists in the country?
I would want to believe that chimpanzees and gorillas being the first and chimpanzees being the second in bringing in the tourism, boosting the tourism industry in Uganda.
So thank you very much for watching UBC. This is Conserve Our Heritage, a show that comes every Monday, 9 to 10 p.m. My name is Glen Stephen Karamagi, together with Dr. Asiimwe Karo. We are looking at human perception of wildlife, because we don't always have the same understanding of these animals. But Doctor will have, she's telling us how we can quickly adopt to these animals and maybe be friendly. We are yet to see how really people are friendly. All they're looking at is the two are sharing the resources. which looks like the habitat of the chimpanzees, is what both are sharing. What other resources? Because I think that one can easily be managed according to your perception, but what else do they share?
People depend. They also go in to get some of the animals that live within the forest as
Is
food.
that poaching?
Poaching. It's
Okay.
illegal, and they go in, illegally set traps. Unfortunately, some of these traps accidentally also trap the chimpanzees. Much as most of the communities don't eat the chimpanzee, but the chimpanzees are getting lame. They are losing their limbs, they are losing their lives because of these traps.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. A chimpanzee is... can you explain me that? I don't understand what...
Yeah, a chimpanzee that was in Kasongwele, a chimpanzee got trapped in one of the metal traps set by the communities, and it lost its limb, unfortunately. By the time we got there to save it, it was too late. The fracture was...
Someone who trapped it had no intention of having it as a meal?
No, most times they don't. And in fact, once they saw the chimpanzee caught and screaming, they called. But when they are calling, they don't tell you it was caught from my place. I just saw it passing. So the best part is that the communities are now changing attitude. They call us to rescue when they find that the victim is not their target animal.
They call for help.
They call us to go and rescue that animal, which is something really positive. Because in the past they wouldn't even try because they were scared of being arrested. But with the different NGOs coming in and sensitizing people and letting them know that actually we're all on the same page, we want you to help us protect the animal and we're not going to arrest you. That is for the other lawmakers. And so people now have understood why we are there, why NGOs are in that place to conserve. And so they are helping us actually to conserve. They call us. So we're also finding a way of how to change their attitude and help them stop depending on the forest for survival, given that they are harming the chimpanzees, not intentionally, but by accident.
So we are lucky in Uganda. We don't have people who want to have chimpanzees as a meal. That is quite interesting. It's a credit.
Which may not be sustainable. We have an influx of people coming in from Congo who eat every primate. So culture is changing, it's dynamic. If I see my neighbor who is Congolese eating a baboon and they don't die, next time I'm also going to go for it because I'm lacking enough to eat. And if the baboon can't kill me, why not try it? So
you end up even trying a chimpanzee.
They will eventually try it out.
Well, in Mburo, I was simple research I had a few weeks ago. Is that nowadays the people around own forests, and they're supposed to do whatever they want in those forests.
Yes.
How do you find it handling them with the chimpanzees who cross over to their forests and they need to use the trees, maybe the timber, and you're telling me they're supposed to kill their inhabitants, but they are living in their forests?
Yeah, that's the biggest challenge because...
Is it true that there are very many people around who are owning forests?
Yes, but the forests on private land is actually going down. The deforestation rate is really alarming in Uganda. And unfortunately, some of these private forests are inhabited by the chimpanzees, so they are failing to get where to go. The conflicts are really at a rise. In fact, many people, if you go in those areas where there are those fragments, they think chimpanzees have increased. But chimpanzees are not increasing. It's the contact, the human contact with the chimpanzees is increasing.
It is increasing.
So they think the more they get in contact with them, the more they think the population is increasing, because before they were not seeing them, they were in the forest, they had enough to eat. But now they're coming out, so that contact is giving an impression that chimpanzees are increasing on fragmented forests, but it's not happening. And the private owners are continuously cutting down. It's the unfortunate bit that you cannot stop someone
Have they
from
started,
cutting
because
trees on their land.
I was hosting some of the Uganda Life Authority officials last week, and they looked at conservancies as one of the ways you can reduce on human wildlife conflicts.
Yes.
Has it crossed Budongo forest yet that these owners of these forests, they should stop cutting trees? If they leave these chimpanzees in their forests, probably there is going to be direct benefit from having them around. Has that crossed your area, Budongo and the station you're heading?
Around Budongo, but many of the fragments are within the corridor between Budongo, Bugoma, and then from Bugoma joining to Chibare Forest. So that whole corridor, that's where most of the fragments and the private-owned forests are. So Uganda Wildlife Authority has actually been encouraging some of those places. If they can start tourism, for example, it would be a way of protecting those animals. And I think some people are taking up the initiative, but it's still a long way to go. We don't know how successful it will be, given that already the conflict is too much. If it can first reduce and people change the attitude, find a way of coexisting, then they can go ahead and habituate these chimpanzees so that they can start tourism. But before the attitude is changed, they are going to continue conflicting, because once you habituate a chimpanzee population, you're getting them more used to human beings. So if there is already a conflict, it may magnify.
Yes, yes.
However, the benefits for conservation and research, if you look at tourism and research as tools to conserving these chimpanzees, it's really, the benefits are more than the costs. So it would be something to try out also in those private-owned forests so that we protect these chimpanzees.
Few weeks, if not a month ago, I was reading somewhere, must have been in Buhoro, Kagadi, where a chimpanzee killed a child. I don't know how you handled it or how you handle it, but let us go down for this quick break, and when we return, she will tell us what happened. A chimpanzee and a child who was either killed or injured, one of the two. She'll have to explain to us what happened and the behavior between the two, because already we know human perception on wildlife is not yet positive. It's in between, either negative or positive, but I think with the time they will have to understand. But now, what happened in Buhoro, Kagadi after the break? Welcome back from that break. You're still watching UBC TV, and this is Conserve Heritage. My name is Glen Stephen Karamagi, and in the studio I have Dr. Asiimwe Caroline from Budongo Conservation Field Station. We're looking at the human perception of wildlife and how two are coexisting. Looks like it's not yet good news. The stories are different. We shall open up our phone calls later on 0751 822 The numbers, at least I've been told, they are very, very clear. We shall have them, and we say them with the people of Budongo who really want to share something with Dr. Caro. Doctor, what happened in Kagadi, Buhoro, Kagadi? A child was injured, killed. You can make it clear here.
Yeah, there have been several incidences. There have been children being injured, and there are also like 2 cases where children have lost their lives, unfortunately.
Why children?
We think...
Because I'm very sure children don't go to hunt.
Yes, children don't go of that age which was attacked. But we also think there's so many reasons why a child can be attacked. One, the forest edge communities, their gardens are so close to the forest. So if they ignore a child or leave the child unattended to, a chimpanzee can anytime find the child crying and attack. But also the young children in rural Uganda are the ones that go to fetch water and also collect firewood from the forest.
So you're telling me water is within the forest?
Most of the water points are within the forest. So there is competition for resources in the forest, including the water. So we also think that encounter between when the children go unaccompanied to the water points or to fetch firewood with no adult that the chimpanzee can see and fear. And we also know that the children have provocative behaviors. Really, that is not hidden. Many of the children, when they see chimpanzees, they want to threaten, they want to throw stones, they want to throw sticks, they want to imitate their calls. And that chimpanzees can never tolerate. In addition, they also like going when they're eating. You go eating a mango, you go eating a sugarcane when you're going to fetch water. These chimpanzees are also starved, remember. Their home has been cut down, they have no enough food in the forest. So there is a chance that by accident the chimpanzee may come actually to pick the food from the child, not to attack. And by accident probably put the child down in a bad position, or as they are pulling something, grabbing the fruit or the sugar cane, probably grab the arm by accident. So I don't still think that these chimpanzees intentionally go to harm these children.
I'm not going defensive, Carol, here. Because I'm thinking if a child, the reaction of a kid towards a chimpanzee would either be throw it and disappear and run away. Would they wait?
I'm thinking where education is going on, the children know what to do, and they do that. They throw the thing, and they don't run. Of recent, we have taught them what to do, and we see the incidences of the attacks are going down. They're actually around Budongo. I don't remember when we last had one, because of the education. Around Chibare National Park, I've not heard of attacks on children, but they're within the forest fragments where education has been low. There are no many NGOs in there. In Hoima, we used to have attacks, but with the main NGOs going in and educating people, now the attacks are going down. So we think if children in also those fragments are taught how to behave when they meet chimpanzees, we will help these children reduce the incidences. I think it's very important that children and their parents actually know what to do in case they meet a chimpanzee, or when they go to fetch water, let parents not leave children to go to fetch firewood alone, unaccompanied. There's so many risks in addition to getting lost in the forest, but there's also being attacked by many animals, not just the chimpanzees, the baboons. Anything can attack the children.
So, okay, it might be baboons and they think they are chimpanzees.
That can also be a possibility. But I think in this case, they were in Mohoro, when people reported, they really confirmed it was a chimpanzee.
Now, that takes now to us to the behavior of a chimpanzee, because or chimpanzees, if these communities are living with them and their attitude is not yet positive, how about the attitude of chimpanzees? How do they behave when, or how do they react when they look at a human being?
Chimpanzees naturally in the wild, they have two instincts. If they meet an enemy, you either fight or run. Now, we have two groups of chimpanzees. We have some that have been habituated and they're used to human presence, but we have the wild ones that the moment they even smell a human being coming close by, they will run away. In most cases, we even never see them. Even in Budongo, we never see them.
So these ones we're watching on TV, are they habituated ones?
Those chimpanzees are habituated. That's the Sonso community in Budongo Forest Reserve. Yes.
So they were...
They are moving, probably going outside. That's the rail mile. They are probably going for a patrol to monitor their territory to make sure there are no intruders, or going to another feeding tree. But that's a big community, that's a big family together. So it either means they're going for patrol, to patrol their territories, because they always monitor around the territory to make sure there are no other chimpanzees coming to take over their place.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, as you're still telling us, what should people do in case I'm moving in that same route and I meet the chimpanzees? These are habituated ones.
Yes.
In any case, you can break for us what means habituated chimpanzees and those that are unhabituated.
Habituated chimpanzees are those chimpanzees that have been trained over time. You follow them over time, so that they get used to your presence as a human being.
Oh, and the unhabituated ones, these are the ones that are wild.
We call them the wild. They're all wild, but the other ones are really wild. They're not used to human presence. So any sign of human, they will run away.
Now, what should the community do if you met maybe a chimpanzee? Should I know whether this is habituated or this is unhabituated? What are the first things a human being can do, or what should they do when they meet these chimpanzees?
The first is to always first stop. These chimpanzees, the moment they see you, they will also stop because they are not sure where you're going, so that they always divert. So stop.
All of them, be wild, be habituated.
The wild ones will not even stop. They will run away. You will not have a chance to look at it. But the habituated ones, because they're used to humans, for them they will first stop and see, who is this? And they're used to people who always follow them. So if it's the normal person they're used to, they will continue with their normal routine and they do whatever they were doing. They won't be stressed. But if you're new, they will first get stressed because they don't know you, they don't know your intentions, they don't know why you're there in their habitat. So they will also first stop and look at you to see.
Do you think a chimpanzee can know this is a Karamagi we see always?
Oh yes,
and
they know.
And this is the doctor that we don't know.
Yes, these chimpanzees can look at people and tell. They look at the uniform you're wearing, they look at you. I can give an example of Budongo Forest Reserve. In the Sonso community, there is a guy called Gresham. He has been there for over 25 years with these chimpanzees. The funny thing is that when there is a conflict, there is one particular chimpanzee which would run and still hide behind this guy for protection because they are used to him, they think he's part of the community. So it happens even in chimpanzees. They can tell this is the person we're used to, this is new in the area. And whenever you're new, you find there's stress. That's why we have research monitoring stress levels. If you're new, there is stress and they will be fearing to eat the normal way they're doing. They are conscious, they're all the time looking to see what is this person doing here? Is he a friend or an enemy? And if you don't show any signs that you want to fight them back, then they will ignore you and continue with their normal life. So if people encounter chimpanzees, the first thing to do is to be calm. Don't try to imitate. And there are some chimpanzees, each individual has different characters. There are those that don't like direct contact. So if eye contact, so avoid eye contact with these chimpanzees. Be humble. Stop.
So when I look at it, I just have to be shy, or I have to shy away from the chimpanzees?
Don't overlook at it because you look at the threat. Don't overexpose your teeth because some of their communication involves teeth. So if you try to laugh at it, it may interpret it like you're challenging it. So you have to be calm, humble, so that this chimpanzee cannot interpret you as an enemy. You look like a challenge. If you run away, the chimpanzee may think you're actually running away from an enemy, and it will also run towards your direction. And then for you, think it's actually running after you. Eventually, it may fall on you by accident. But it's also running away thinking, oh, this guy, he's running away from an enemy. And it will also run looking back and forth. But it's also running for protection. But you're all going to the same direction. And it's faster than a human being, definitely. So
I didn't know that.
Triple you and fall on you. So we need to learn how to be calm. Don't imitate their calls. People have that tendency of looking at chimpanzees calling and they
also
try
start
to imitate.
Calling. Yes.
That is very bad because chimpanzees will react back. They don't like humans to imitate them. Don't move stealthily. You find a group of chimpanzees and you're stealthily moving around them without them seeing you. Let them see you. Don't try to be stealthy around chimpanzees because that scares them. You're an enemy. So we need to, there are many NGOs, the good thing, working around all these areas where the chimpanzees are and teaching. So I would really want us to synchronize our messages. Otherwise, I may go and teach people what to do and another person comes and teaches them what to do, which is actually opposite, not based on the real life experience in the wild. And then we find we're actually the ones confusing people. So conservationists, I would really encourage them also to come together and we produce one message for these communities so that we don't confuse our viewers, we don't confuse our students, our learners. And in that way, I think if we combine efforts, both the locals, we bring in parents, we bring in other NGOs, we bring in politicians, we bring in the judicials, we will have a solution to this problem.
Well, like you've said, how does the law interpret, or the policymakers, how do they understand this situation? Because now a chimpanzee has injured a kid, and do they come for you? Do they go for the chimpanzee? Do they look for the chimpanzee to kill it? What happens after such an incident?
After such an incident, actually, the community is always mad. So the authorities don't go there immediately. Otherwise, you will be looked at as an enemy. They look at it like anyone working with chimpanzees is in to protect only chimpanzees, but that's not the case. Whatever we are doing, we are protecting our property for Uganda. If you look at an example of the judiciary system, actually, it's still, we need to sensitize it a lot, because when you look at, I'll use an example. Recently in Sebitoli, someone was found roasting meat of a chimpanzee, and this person was given a fine of 300.
That is Chibale?
In Chibale, Fort Poto, and was given a fine of 300. Yet the law is clear, 7 years in prison. So if everyone who can afford from the Uganda Wildlife Authority.
This is a chimpanzee.
Yes.
Did you tie it on the tree?
No, that chimpanzee was caught in a snare, in a trap in one of the forest fragments.
Oh.
So we had to go in and save it from the trap. It was dehydrated. It had stayed the whole morning in the hot sun. It had no any energy. We had to put it on drip because it was
you
so
also
dehydrated.
put them on drip?
Yes, we treat them. Remember, they are 98% human.
Okay, yes.
So whatever affects us affects them. Yes, so the lawyer,
So
the
that is
lawyers,
also
the
another
judicial
snare?
system, that's a man trap.
That's a man trap, yes?
Yes. It's another trap used mainly for crop protection at the forest boundaries, but then the chimpanzees also fall accidental victims. And that is even more dangerous because you can see it leads to, it removes the limb. Yeah, and we've lost some chimpanzees because of that. Some of them get infection because of the wound left by that trap, even if we remove. I
think that producer can give us that again. That looked like it was after getting the treatment. You can give it to us and see whether it really worked. That's the chimpanzee?
Yes. After removing the leg, the leg couldn't be saved, so we had to remove it, and now it's moving with three legs.
But it has arms and 2 legs. I don't know, how do you call it?
They are called limbs. So the forelimbs and the hind limbs, now it has only 3.
Sorry, it looks much pain. So it is trying to move with 3.
It's moving with 3, and it's actually still surviving because we intervened before the infection set in, so we prevented infection. If we had not come in on time, it would probably have lost its life.
Well, you have a chance to call on 0751-822-511, and you will definitely be part of Conserve Our Heritage this Monday evening with me, Glen Stephen Karamagi, and the doctor in the house. She's giving us lots of hints on how you can behave. Human perception against wildlife isn't that good. We are seeing a couple of challenges there, but how about the chimpanzees towards a human being? Looks like it's something that we can easily learn and maybe live with them. But still, she needs to explain to us the policy. Probably the parliament, do they really understand this? Because I'm very sure if you landed on someone who's trapping, you would want to see him 7 years imprisoned for 7 years. But I think it's never the case with the party policymakers.
Yes.
What do you want them to understand?
We want the policymakers to understand that if this resource is depleted, it's not only a few individuals in conservation that are going to lose. The whole of Uganda is going to lose. So we need to join effort with them. They need to understand. Actually, as we're educating the locals, I feel like we need to start from the judiciary and then come to the policymakers. They are the ones to make the laws. If the whole forest is being cut down and we are telling them, oh, this forest is running out, the animals don't have where to live, climate change is setting in, they don't have enough to eat, so they are going to conflict with people. Yet we know most of these, for example, the politicians are voted by the same communities, and they don't want to hear them suffering because of the chimpanzees.
Yes, if I was a politician, I would have the same thinking, because I can't get a vote from a chimpanzee, true.
Yes.
But if a chimpanzee is attacking communities, probably I have an option. You know, I would rather look at human being than the chimpanzee. But you may look at the chimpanzee before you look at human being.
Yes, but then we need the policymakers to also look at the
We have
origin
a caller.
of the
We have
problem.
a caller here, doctor. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, you're live on UBC.
Hello?
Yes, you're live on UBC. Go ahead. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Your name and where you're calling from.
Hello.
Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Hello.
Police, I think you can cut him off. But when you're calling, move away from your radio set. And you're audible enough. So just move away from your radio set and call on 0751 822 511. Be part of Conserve Our Heritage this Monday evening with Dr. Asiimwe Karo from Budongo Conservation Field Station. And we're looking at chimpanzees mainly and human perception of wildlife. We don't have the same perception. She may be very well trained. But doctor, do you talk like this because you're earning a living from these chimpanzees? But before that, we have a caller. Yubisalo. Yubisalo? Yubisalo? Hello? You're live on UBC.
They don't call.
Sorry? Producer, you can. Yes, hello? You okay now?
Hello?
Yes. You're live on UBC.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
This is Maxime from Liantonde.
From Liantonde?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Actually, I just want to ask you that, doctor. Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Ask the doctor. She's listening.
Yes. I heard about those chimpanzees that they are very harmful when a lady finds them. Okay?
Yes.
What she has to do is to run away. Is it true?
Okay, where are you calling from? Thank you. Point taken. Point taken. She'll be in position to give you the answer of chimpanzees meeting ladies. What happened? Oh, what happened rather. You can call again 0751 822 5111. Move away from your radio set and make that call. Make sure it's audible enough. She'll be in position to answer, but to give the right answer. Yes, what happens? If he's saying when chimpanzees meet a lady, they are very stubborn. Is it true?
Okay, without finishing the policymakers, and
let us
we
first
really need
because
the policymakers.
Yes.
We really need them aboard. When chimpanzees meet a lady, I'm a lady, and I meet chimpanzees daily.
But
and
your uniform is more like a trouser.
I got that same question when I was in Kasongwele. The lady
Where is
said
Kasongwele?
it's near Budongo. It's a small fragment near Kinyara. And I think over the last 15 years, they had the most conflicts around in the whole of Uganda. I think they were on top of the list. So they told us they had actually different perception. The females, that the chimpanzees rape women.
Is it true?
Of course, it's not true.
Are you not defending chimpanzees?
Oh no, no woman has ever come up and said, "Oh, I was raped by a chimpanzee." They always say, "I hear," and whenever you hear people say, "I hear," there is no evidence, meaning that it has never happened, but they just think it could, which it can.
Okay.
We told people, we went to the village and told them, let us have one woman who said she was raped by a chimpanzee.
Of course, you can't say that in public. Probably, why did you have another option of finding in your office?
Oh, we tried to use all tactics. No one. They all said someone. We just had. So if no one comes up, it means it's not possible.
We have another caller. Yes, you're live on UBC.
Yes. Yeah, I heard you saying
Your name and where you're calling from?
that chimpanzees are 98% human.
Yes.
Could you please elaborate on that?
Okay.
Because I don't believe it.
Okay, your name and where you're calling from?
I'm called Rose Wawiri. I'm calling from Seta.
From SETA. Okay. You said 98.5% human?
The percentage ranges between 97 to 98. By genetics and
You're a doctor
physiology.
here. You're a doctor here.
Yeah, by genetics and physiology, we are rated. If you look at the evolution tree, we are really rated to the chimpanzees by that percentage from the genes and the physiology. Science has shown it. So
No, but
we
still
are
you're
rated.
complicating things. I think she
Yes.
wants you to make it clear here. How are they 98 or 97, whatever it is, but that percentage is that huge. How are they that close to me or to you, human being?
You have to
Because,
look at
yes.
the evolution. The evolutionary tree, when they draw the tree and they see how the DNA changes, we are so close to the chimpanzees. Actually, of all the apes, humans are closer to the chimpanzees from the DNA strands, if they look at the DNA, which becomes again more complicated.
Yeah, because you need to break it down for me here.
Yes.
DNA, yes, me and you might understand it, but
Yes.
what is DNA according to her?
If, for example, if you produce your child,
Yes.
and they take your child, they take your blood, or they take your hair strand, and they go to the lab and look at, they want to see, are you the father of that child?
Yes, yes.
They will look at the genes and they see how
Yeah.
far they look alike and how far they don't look alike. And if they look at ours, our DNA, and for the chimpanzees, they are so close. What separates us is a very small strand. So that's what they mean by we are so related. But also behavior-wise, if you look at it from the behavior side of it, we are so related. We all produce young ones. We all look after them the same way. We all use
breastfeed.
tools. Yes, as we use hose and use stones to crack the nuts, they also do the same. So we have the same behaviors, and that should show us. We have cultures, they also have cultures.
What do you mean cultures?
Chimpanzees have the culture, the way they live, and how they pass on their leadership. The same culture, the way we do. So they also have, in a way, if you look at the chimpanzees and follow them, we are so related.
We have another caller. Yes, UBC, hello.
How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you? Who is this you are talking to, and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Barara.
And who is this you are talking to?
Hmm?
Who are we talking to?
What?
Your name.
Hello?
Your name.
Hello?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm calling from Barara.
Okay.
I'm called Everest Mujuni.
Yes, Mujuni.
Everest Mujuni.
Yes, Everest. Go ahead.
I'm called Mujuni Everest.
Yes, very good. Go ahead.
That lady is saying that the chimpanzees did not rape some women, and they wanted people to come from public and witness that they are raped by chimpanzees. They assume that she is the one. Can she testify in public that she was raped by a chimpanzee? It's true that chimpanzees are used to rape women, and nowadays, even if they get them, still they can rape them.
Okay. Thank you. I think Mujuni wants you to make it clear. Does this really happen? Don't defend the chimpanzee.
Okay.
Because I want to connect his question. If we are 98.5 or 97 plus, that
Yes.
means we share a lot.
Yes.
Don't you think chimpanzees are tempted to do that?
Chimpanzees, even the adults, which actually could rape potentially if it happens. If you look at the biology and look at them in the wild, how they behave, a female chimpanzee, for a male to be attracted to this female, it has a swelling on the behind. I wish the pictures could show
Yes,
that a
the
picture
swelling,
of
yes.
such, a swelling. So the females develop a swelling, and there is a hormone they release that these males can tell this female is ready for copulation.
Oh.
So unless a human being also swells and undresses and shows this chimpanzee this swelling that I'm ready for copulation, for sleeping with you, for mating, then it would happen. 2, if you look at the anatomy of a chimpanzee female.
What is anatomy here?
Sorry, the reproductive organ.
Yes, yes.
The reproductive organ of a chimpanzee female, it's behind on the back. And if you look at the human anatomy, the reproductive organ is in the front. So if you look at when they are mating, the way they behave and how they mount this female, you just see they don't know how to approach it from the front, the chimps. At least the bonobos do it, but they can do it. We don't have bonobos in Uganda. But the chimpanzees, they have to approach you. You have really, unless if it's the humans, if it's me who really tries to rape it. And unless if a chimpanzee was brought up in captivity or in someone's home and trained how to do it. But in the wild, I don't think it's possible from the whole anatomy and the physiology of this chimpanzee. The way the physiology and the anatomy doesn't allow that to happen.
So it's
I
just
really
a myth.
don't think, it's a myth. I don't think it has ever happened.
Okay, as we are winding up in just less than 5 minutes, there's a message you want to give the policymakers, and I think you can be clear on telling them, the policymakers, what they need to understand about this wildlife.
Yes, we really need the policymakers, the judiciary and the policymakers to come aboard and join us in this conservation battle. You are the people elected by the locals to represent them, so they respect you and understand you. So if you came and joined efforts with us and understood the behaviors of these chimpanzees, maybe you'd help us actually deliver the message better. But most importantly, the lawmakers, if someone cuts one tree and you're like, how many trees did you cut in Budongo? 1. How many trees are in Budongo? There are so many. And then you let the person go away, and the next person, he's the same arrested over and over. It's not helping, because one by one makes a bundle. It's cumulative. They will start with 1, but there are so many cutting, and eventually the forest will go away. But it's not only the conservation agencies that are going to lose, or the chimpanzees losing their home, but even the humans are going to suffer. Climate change is coming in because of this loss. So we need to join hands, join efforts, and conserve our nature. Thank
you very much. All is said by Dr. Asiimwe Caroline here in Conserve Heritage. Join us next Monday. We'll be looking at Ankoli Cow Conservation Association, which is in Mbara, how they are conserving the heritage of the longhorned cattle. Keep it UBC. Enjoy the rest of the programming. The news is up next.